Hello, and thank you so much for joining us live or watching the replay. We do appreciate you having here. And I have, oh, look at that. I'm pointing to the right direction. Totally by accident. So I have Robin with me, and we're going to talk about mushroom decks because why not? So, yes, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I made Robin out to be this mushroom expert, but just disclaimer, he'd never agreed to be one. It was just me because I was like, oh, Robin wasn't on my channel for a while now, and his name is a mushroom, so do I need more? I don't need more. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
I have a confession there to make. Hey, Gerald.
Hi,
Uh,
Gerald.
I just wanted to say, because people might be curious about why I named my channel that
I
way.
am.
And it's like,
Yes.
it's not like I'm a major mushroom fan or anything. I like to eat them, but I think I only know like the most generic kind of mushrooms to eat. But for me, well, this is what happened. When I started a channel, I got some advice, and somebody said, if you're going to start a channel, don't put it under your own name. Get another fake, another email and make a name, come up with a name for your channel for the other email. So you can put your channel under that, because you don't want people like personally knowing too much about your business and come to your personal email. So I go on Yahoo and I start like plugging in names that I think are great for like tarot channel names. I have had about 5 or 6 of them, and all of them were taken. And then I'm really reckless, and I'm like, oh, what do I do now? I'm looking around my room, and I looked at one of my albums that I did, where I found this fantasy image that I used on the cover, and it's these elves with a toadstool, and so I go Toadstool Tarot, and it took. I thought, oh damn! Now I'm stuck with Toadstool Tarot.
But I think it's a really unique and cool name. So it's not a bad pick.
No, I grew to like it a lot, actually. But at first, it was just like totally by accident. It's just like, well, it's not taking any of these. It's not going to take Toadstool Tarot either, but it did.
I mean, it could have been worse, like potato tarot or something like that,
Yeah.
Deep fried tarot.
It was destined, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so too.
The reason is, I mean, I'm most fascinated by the use of toadstools or mushrooms in like fantasy or fairy tale books and things. I actually wrote a book of fairy tales too, and I use on the back, kind of tiny. But but I have a couple of books that have like, here's this one called The Jolly Dwarves. I really love these pointy hats, and I don't know if you know, I put hats like that. But there's a couple of images in here that have, there's one with a lot of toadstools in it.
Oh.
And
yeah, toadstools are pretty. Like, they are poisonous, but
these are really famous in Europe, and I think particularly Nordic countries. It's the one that's very poisonous and hallucinogenic. Oh, look, there's a snail in that one too.
Oh,
how is what's her name doing?
Smarties.
Smarties.
Recently I had a scare with her because I thought that she's gonna die, because turns out that when snails are really scared, they can, I don't want to be too graphic about it, but it looked like she vomited her insides out. So I was sure that she's gonna die, because it looked like half of the snail was outside of her when it was supposed to be inside. But for some reason, I don't know how, because I was just tiptoeing around the whole box. I didn't dare to move anything. Then it went back, and it looks like she's okay now, but I guess she's getting old, so she got scared because she fell down from the lid. I'm Froggy.
Oh.
And I'm looking in my, like, because I only have one deck. Oh, that's so cute. And I should have. Oh, the oakish and thorn must have a mushroom somewhere. But I didn't think about finding the. But I have the deck here. Maybe I will go through it. But I only have the Midnight Magic. And to
Yeah,
be honest, I'm not a mushroom fan either. But I just I like mushrooms in as a concept. I find them interesting. But I don't even know. I don't
well,
think I know the basic ones. You
I'm
know.
fascinated by it, and John Cage, who was a famous experimental musician here, had this habit of like hunting for mushrooms, and I actually even composed a song about him stalking wild mushrooms. There's this
Yeah.
whole kind of fascinating connection there on a sort of botanical level or whatever. But for me, I love the fact that it feels very mysterious and witchy, like
Yeah.
mushrooms seem like something that witches would put in their cauldrons and their spells and recipes. There's a sort of intrigue about it. And I just sort of like, this is something I bought off Etsy, this hat, which isn't very well designed, but the fabric is fantastic.
You should turn it into a tarot bag.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Since it's a lousy hat, it'd make a better tarot bag. You're right. Oh, I forgot to pull that out. I have a, a mushroom tarot bag that somebody gave me.
Oh, until you find it, I can show you that in this Midnight Magic deck, the Toadstool is the Emperor. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think the whole deck is beautiful. I have a walk and a flip through on my channel. So if you guys watching don't know the deck and you wanna check it out, you can. And yeah, fairy rings are circle of mushrooms, and this deck has some fairies or fae. I don't even know which one is better, but in it, which is interesting.
I'm
It's
sure that,
definitely
I'm sorry.
magical.
I'm sure that I have decks that have single cards in them that have mushrooms on them, but I couldn't
Yeah,
remember what they were to go looking for them.
yeah. I mean, I should have think about that too, but I mean that would require me to be well prepared. And if you guys know me, you know me.
Well, I can't find it now, but I think I put the Spectro World Tarot in it because it seems sort of psychic.
Oh, that's such a pretty one. And yeah, that would fit because one of the things that you can associate mushrooms to is getting high. So
Yeah,
that's
psychedelics.
yeah, that's why I wasn't entirely sure when I saw the name Midnight Magic. What they mean about it, how it's gonna be. But I think it's just really midnight because the cards backs are black, so it's mostly in the like I will assume at midnight. But they look so pretty.
And
The cardstock is really bad. I mean, not
yeah,
really bad, but it's pretty.
I found these gals on Etsy that designed this
Mm.
mug that I bought, and it was so beautiful on like a black background. These images, and I think they sold like wrapping paper and stuff too, or
So
something, scarves or whatever. And I contacted them when I ordered this, and I said, oh, you guys should do a tarot deck or an oracle deck. And it's like, if you didn't know anything about it, I'd be happy to collaborate with you to help you organize the images onto cards. But they weren't into it.
oh, too bad. But
But
hey, that's why you created your own. So
well, actually, you know what happened? About a year or two ago, I saw a deck by this guy. I can't remember the name of it, but he's in the Northeast, like Oregon or Washington. And he had created a mushroom deck. Maybe no, it's not that one.
no, it's
It's
just don't ask the publisher. It's Simon and Schuster.
oh, it's the one I saw was black and white, and I thought, I don't
Ah,
black and white. And then a little bit later, he did it in color, but it wasn't the best. it didn't appeal. I shouldn't say it wasn't the best. It didn't appeal to me, but I liked the idea. And then somebody else was doing a Kickstarter for this one, the Mushroom Hunters Tarot. This is a
Yeah,
guy named
I don't think I ever seen that one.
Joe Buckley, and it wasn't going to be out until like November. And this
Ah,
was like in the spring, and I thought, I can't do Kickstarters. I can't
yeah.
wait November, you know. In the meantime, I thought to tide myself over, I discovered Canva, and I thought I'm going to do my own, you know. So I did
Yes.
my own, and I kind of like took the idea of the black background that they had, the girls had on their mug and hat, and I did my own little one because they had like 200 some images of mushrooms on Canva,
Hi,
and
Jeffrey.
I
Jeffrey's watching, so we need to, amp up our game.
I picked the ones that had the most similar illustration style. And
Yeah.
it's a non-representational deck. It's just a mushroom, but you know, I don't have the technical names on there, and I don't know anything about the technical names except what is that the one with the red and the white dots? That's the poison one. I think it's called the Amanita muscaria, or sometimes it's called the fly agaric mushroom. So
Oh,
everybody knows it's like the big poison one.
I mean, this deck has the Latin name, so, I can confirm that you know your mushroom.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, this is the deck that
Amanita.
finally came out in November, and it's very
Ah,
much illustrated like the Rider Waite. You see the overhead there, and there's
yeah.
a number for and this is the magician card. Oh, I can't get it lined up. So it's very colorful and it's fun, but ooh, puffball. Um, this one it does have a nice guide, and they do have the technical name, like the Fool. It says common puffball,
Mm-hmm.
and describes it from a biological or herbological point of view, and then it does a little sort of describes the card in a reading and keywords. So it's a helpful
Mm-hmm.
guidebook. But I just like that it looked more like a regular tarot, with
Yeah.
bright colors and fun.
Yeah, so you can use it if you don't know anything about mushrooms, but you know the RWS, the basic system, then
Yeah, it
you
was
can
fun.
just pick it up.
What was your emperor?
Emperor was that one that you mentioned the Latin name for, which I only know in Hungarian, so
Let's see, this
it's
one
not.
is my emperor, and I can't remember the name of this one. But
Yeah.
it's funny because I just randomly, aesthetically assigned the
Oh yeah,
cards,
I wanted to ask that.
and there's my emperor.
Same.
So it's funny, it's similar to the one they picked.
Yeah, I mean this deck has so many mushrooms that I never even heard of.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably because they don't grow around here, but um, they look. I mean, I was always fascinated by mushrooms because they are half um, plants, half animal, and that is just like so wild to me that you can be in between something that for us humans at least feels so different.
I can't remember if it was Gerald. Somebody called my attention to this incredible documentary that I have to send you a link for
Oh,
about mushrooms, because it's totally fascinating about how there's a whole, I think it's called mycelium
yeah,
system of like roots or
on the
whatever
ground.
on the ground that communicate and do really weird stuff. It's completely fascinating and strange.
I don't suppose you know the game or the TV show The Last of Us. It's been
Last,
out. It's been a big hit recently. The TV show, the
is it
game
a
as well.
documentary or no?
No, it's a horror kind of.
Oh, no, I heard about it, but I think it might be on a channel I don't get.
Yeah, because before I got this, and maybe this is the I was just looking for. Maybe this is the mushroom
Hmm. It
that you
looks,
picked.
yeah, it could be. Yeah.
It's the King Bolete. Thanks, it's the name. Boletus edulis.
Uh-huh.
Here's the name if anybody wants to read it because I don't know how to say it properly. I mean, I love this card. It looks so pretty with
Yeah.
the reds, the rubies. So yeah, the TV show is all about. It's another zombie TV show. It's based on a game which was a big hit a few years back. But the funny thing is that that's why I kind of wanted this deck because the people and the zombies are mushrooms. So the big threat to humanity is mushrooms getting out of hand and taking over human bodies and communicating the way mushrooms do. Like through their system and whatnot. So I think that was kind of interesting to, even though it's more about the let's get scared because mushroom headed zombies are everywhere. But
That's neat. Actually, I did a little research last night, and I don't remember the name of it, but there is
hi
some.
Regina.
There's a mushroom that grows inside the human body, and I can't
Hmm.
remember which one is. It's this horrible disease, and
Oh, you suffocate, right?
yeah, I think so. And I think they did an episode of the X Files on that. If you remember that show back in the
Yeah. I mean, I
there,
loved X-Files. I grew up watching it.
yeah, there was an episode there where these funguses were like growing out of the mouths of people
Yeah.
and killing them and stuff.
I mean, The Last of Us is pretty much like that. Some of them have half heads with mushrooms, like growing out, and um, like it grows out on the skin and stuff like that. So it's kind of creepy. It's not as scary as I thought because I didn't watch it for a while. But then it's Pedro Pascal, so what do? You watch it?
Um,
You have
I
to.
saw a children's book online last night. I think it's called The Mushroom People or something. It's not scary at all. It's really,
Yeah.
it looks like, sort of turn of the century pre-Raphaelite drawings or something of whole families, like the flower fairies, but they're mushroom people. But I'm
Mm.
gonna order it or buy it, but it's super expensive because it's out of print now. So
Ah.
but if you Google it, I think if you Google mushroom people under YouTube, there's some woman reading the book cover to cover, and each different family in the mushroom people is a different kind of mushroom. So you might
Oh.
get out
It.
of it.
I mean, it sounds familiar, and I have images in my head. So I think we had that book here,
Yeah, I don't
like
think
a long
it's
time
old.
ago.
A few years back, I believe.
Hmm.
Oh,
But it was just something similar.
I wanted to show you about this deck. Um, Oddly, they put in like people characters in the courts. So like the King of
Ah.
Wands is this like
Oh,
he's
it's
okay.
you.
He's okay. Well, yeah, it sort of is me. The Queen
You
of
need
Wands,
to grow a mustache.
she looks sort of like she stepped out of like This Might Hurt or what's the
Yeah.
that other deck,
The everyday witch, isn't it?
um, Modern Witch, right?
Oh, modern witch. I don't know.
And then I don't know what this one is. This kind of looks like it's supposed to be out of like 2001 Space Odyssey back in cave days or something.
Yeah. Or Attack of the
And here's like one of the late
Worms.
1800s sort of flower fairies. I don't know what she's doing in there, but
Getting
so
high on mushroom.
yeah. So yeah, the here's the King of Pentacles, some
Oh,
old mountain man kind of.
interesting. The ape.
Yeah, I don't know why they picked the
Yeah.
people they did for the court cards. They're really kind of strange. Here's a cook.
It looks like a troll. Like, just as in bringing in the fairy folklore, maybe.
Nude alert. There's a
Oh,
naked baby with a pig.
The pig is quite realistic, so it's kind of interesting.
But some of these mushrooms are fascinating, but kind of ugly looking too. They're not like, I mean, this one's not bad, but
Interesting.
some of them are just really, this is a strange one. What's the nine of pentacles? That's,
Nine of Pentacles.
yeah, that's,
Independence, or what do you mean?
I mean, what's the meaning of that one? Is that sort of like pride or something? Is that the woman with all the,
No.
no,
Oh yeah, yeah. It's independence, and
the bird and everything?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this
Oh
looks like a picnic or something. It's like on a
yeah.
tabletop on the lawn. I don't know why that's the nine of pentacles, but
I mean, at first I thought it was poop. Then I
yeah,
thought they were chocolate balls, so I'm like,
yeah. There's the eight of pentacles. I don't know what a dog has to do with it. It's like making eight little poop balls by a tree.
yeah. I don't know, because maybe we don't know enough about mushrooms. That's our problem. I mean, you just, you know, maybe there's a real reason. Maybe that special mushroom is really a good fit. Could be.
It looks like most of the pentacle mushrooms are these sort of like roundish kind. So
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
I
that's not.
mean,
No,
it's
yeah.
interesting. It's kind of always hard when you have to assign uh, cards from just one particular thing, like mushrooms. You have to have them.
I wonder if these are truffles. Are truffles
Oh,
mushrooms?
yes,
You would think.
expensive one. That's all I know. And you have. Oh, I mean, it makes sense with the pig, because they use pigs to smell out the truffles. So
Yeah,
that would make sense.
yeah. So smooth black truffle. Yeah, they're
Oh, now it makes sense.
yeah.
I just didn't know how truffles really look like, but now that you mentioned it, yeah, they do. They do look like chocolate balls. So
Have you ever
it
had
makes sense.
had truffles? Have you ever eaten them?
No, they are expensive, right? So
Yeah.
we're not the sort of family who just eats truffles,
Well,
especially not with so many kids. And okay, not as many as Gerald, because Gerald winning the sibling contest.
I think you can get them like, shaved or, they do
Yeah.
them in recipes or something.
Yeah, I mean, I watched once a video where they created the most expensive hamburger, and they used like gold flakes, and oh, that's kind of cool.
Mm.
And they shaved some truffles on it as well.
I like this Ten of Swords too. This is sort of like in the kitchen.
Ooh,
It's a
that's
little,
good.
yeah, it works, I think.
That one's really good. Some of these cards are not really making sense, at least not immediately. But
This
oh
one's
yeah,
hard. It's like hollow. I don't know.
I mean, I know I have that one. Oh, look, that's the tower for
Oh,
my deck.
yeah.
It's called the Yellow Netted Stinkhorn. Phallus multicolor. That's the very creative Latin name. So
I love this one for the Four of Swords. It's like this mushroom having a nap.
yeah, it does look like it's having an amp. That's very cool.
This one's kind of ugly. The Three of Swords. That sort of,
Oh,
ew,
I have that. I have that for the Two of Wands. That's a bleeding tooth,
bleeding
because
heart.
that was it's a teeth or tooth or whatever. Because I stopped and made a notice of that, because or maybe the previous one was the white basket fungus, the one you showed, even though yours was red, but
Yeah.
it's the same sort of hollow.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're learning about mushrooms. We're being very educational right now.
Well, I haven't done much work with this deck or looked at the book. I'd learn more if I read the book. But oh, I love this one. It's got like late I was going to say it has ladybugs, but it doesn't. It just has little mushrooms that look like ladybugs.
Oh yeah, I thought that they were, like snails.
Yeah.
Those are the edible ones, I guess.
I'm not sure. Oh, and that was the other thing I looked up last night is like, what's the difference between toadstools and mushrooms? Generally speaking, the toadstools are the poisonous, inedible ones.
Oh,
Doesn't mean to say all mushrooms are edible. Some of them are poison too, but
yeah.
apparently all toadstools are poison.
That's the two ones in this one. The uh, bleeding tooth fungus. That's the one.
So
Uh,
yours is a much more natural approach.
yeah,
That
it's more botanical illustration kind of thing.
mine's more like trying to be the RWS or something.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I always thought because I don't think in English names for things all the time that I kind of always assumed that toadstool was a type of mushroom. Like for some reason because if you Google toadstool, you only get the white and the red one.
Uh-huh.
So I
Here,
I, I assume that that's the toadstool. To be honest.
well, that's the most famous poison one, and that one's hallucinogenic. I don't know how they get the hallucinogen if it's poisonous, but I don't know how they manage that. It's funny they picked up a couple actual RWS symbols in this. Look, the dog, Pixie's
Oh,
dog, and the
the
towers,
moon.
the moon. You know,
Hmm. But no other. Like no wolf.
it did this
That's
one.
always so interesting. Why do you keep one and not the other?
Yeah, here they've got the banner and the sun from the
Hmm.
sun card.
Yeah, interesting. And I went through the Okesh and uh, Thord, God, and I didn't find a mushroom. I was kind of sure that there's a mushroom, so it's interesting.
Yeah, I was wondering about some of those like herbology decks, but I don't own any, so I don't know.
Yeah, Gerald is asking that does this mean Robin is poisonous because you're a toadstool? So are you poisonous?
Yeah, I guess I'm toxic. I have a channel.
No,
You might,
we're not toxic around here, not that much at least.
might need to see a doctor after watching my channel.
No, I know what's the perfect solution is. You have to buy Robin's deck, and that's gonna be your antidote because you need to digest some poison to get
Well,
used to it.
like I was saying, when I had that wait from like April till November, I couldn't wait, and I thought I need a deck to hold me over. I'll have to create my own. And then I thought, well, that's perfect. I should have. I'm doing a little bit of branding with my channel. I should have my own signature deck from my channel, Toadstool Tarot. Why not? Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And I really like the size. It has the same size as the Rock Pool's small decks, I think.
it's similar to the rock pool. I think it might be a little different, but they kind of remind me of dominoes. They're
Mm.
sort of tall, long, and skinny, but they're not like any other cards I've seen, and it's just fun. I love little cards, especially
Yeah.
if it's a majors only deck. Little cards really work. I don't like little cards on like a full 78 card deck because it's too thick to manage.
Mm. Hmm.
Like do you have the Mildred Payne's Pocket Oracle, the original little one?
Not yet. It's on my list, but the shipping is always, like something that puts me off. But
Well, I had the original one, and then I got the I don't know what it's called, the deluxe.
yeah, that was, yeah,
That's a more manageable size. That's more like playing cards. But the original one had all these extra bonus packs, and it
yeah.
got to like 88 cards or something, and it was like almost like an inch and a half,
Mm.
2 inches thick in this tiny little deck, and you can't shuffle it really. You can
Only overhand. Yeah, you can't really do anything more. or you can put them in a bag and like just mix them that way. If you have problems with your hand, then that could be something.
Yeah, but I
But
like little cards, and these I knew nothing about mushrooms. I completely like altered the colors according to what
oh, you did that
felt
too.
to me. Some of them I left alone, some of them I changed, and a couple I changed direction. Like the chariot, I changed the colors and I also changed the
Yeah.
direction because I wanted it to look more like a boat, you know?
Ah, okay. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking that with the chariot, sometimes it's you get that card because you're not focusing, you're not able to move forward. And I was thinking that being it upside down, it's kind of like you're not facing the right direction to start moving. I wasn't thinking about being in the boat, but
But
that makes
that's
sense.
great intuitive take on that. So that works too.
Mm.
Hierophant, I just chose this tall, kind of staid white thing. I thought of like a priest in
Mm.
white
The
robes
color.
of the Pope, with
Oh,
the collar and a big hat.
oh, the Pope was here. Like 3 days.
Really.
He just left yesterday. Yeah.
And then the lovers, I just because it's like a pair of
Mm.
mushrooms, feel like they go together like a couple. They're joined together.
And did you change the color for the red? Because I was thinking that the red goes well, obviously, with the lovers.
I didn't think of that, but actually, I
Ah,
can't remember if I changed that color. I might have, but it was more like as I had them laid out. Um, I didn't want too many of the same
oh,
color following each other. Oh, this is about the point in 22 where I need you know, a red.
ah.
So I
Oh,
think
it's
there's
interesting.
two or three red ones in there. Here's strength. Like it kind of looks like one card either has a mouth or has had a bite taken out of it by the
Yeah.
other mushroom. So they were more like weird, like
I
the
was.
I made this one purple because it seemed purple.
Ooh.
The purple seemed like an old man color, like an old,
Oh.
and it's like bent, like he's like walking off to be alone somewhere.
Yeah, I was thinking with the purple that it's regal,
Hmm.
um, and it kind of feels like okay, it's a modern mix of the two things, but it kind of feels like when you're able to um, say how and where you spend your time. That's a luxury that only like regal people have, or people who have a lot of money. Have that luxury these days. So for me, that works well as well.
And the hangman, I mean, I just flipped it upside down to make it hang.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but that was obvious that you had to.
The Wheel of Fortune I did because the inside pattern underneath looked like it was kind of spinning in like a spinning
Yeah,
wheel. So, I mean,
that.
there was a method to my madness, but
Yeah, I
it's,
mean, you can tell that there's a lot of thought went into the deck, but it wasn't that picking the mushrooms for the mushrooms, or how do you
yeah,
say that?
in fact, some of these, I don't even know if color mushrooms exist in these colors, like the blue chariot. I don't know if there's a blue mushroom or not.
Oh,
This
there's a blue mushroom in this deck, so there has to be a blue one then.
this one, the devil, I just like that dripping
The
red
dripping, yeah.
fangs or something. Didn't have horns, but it has fangs.
But I think the dripping side of it was very fitting because
And the tower,
laced with.
I just picked the tallest, skinniest one for the tower, the one most
Oh,
like collapse.
yeah, and kind of the green is. It could be for the green of envy, like being envious, and that's when things fall apart because you do things out of envy. I can come up with meanings for your deck like left and right.
Well, this one, the moon, I picked because it looks like
Like
craters.
great, yeah. That's one of the poisonous ones. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, and in this deck, there's I forgot to, but I think I talked about it in the walkthrough. There's one where it grows to an ant.
To a what?
So yeah, it makes it zombie or zombify it or something like that. I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have that in my card too. I think it's my tower card here.
Yeah, it's the zombie ant fungus, the king of swords, knight of swords. Interestingly, I mean, sorry guys, I have reflections, so I can't really show off the card. It's too dark anyway, but yeah, it's similar, very similar.
Oh, it's disgusting.
I mean, it must be like this is the TV show, in a card. It must be so horrible to
Yeah.
have these grow out of you, and you don't. I mean, I think the ants don't even know that they're slowly dying. I think I've seen a documentary about it at some point many years ago.
Mm.
It's interesting because I watched your original walkthrough of the deck, and I was just like, oh cool, mushrooms. But now I was like, this totally works for me. So I will add it to my. I'm gonna get this at some point list.
Well, did I ask you? Have you read with your deck yet?
No, I did just one sample reading for Instagram because I didn't have any time to play with it yet.
See, I suspect I haven't done much. I mean, I have read with my deck, but I haven't read with this other one yet. And I suspect that it's going to be sort of because I know the tarot system.
Mm.
It's like I'm reading more from the labels than I am from the images.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how that's gonna work for me, but
I mean,
it's
for me, these are just so enticing. The images, they're just so beautiful that,
you know,
and to be honest, the titles are not as invasive. So if I want to, I can just completely ignore them and just go completely like I don't even care what the meanings are officially. I can just go with my intuition and just be like, oh, I feel like this is something, this and that.
these would be really good decks though to pack in a bag and go walk off into the woods.
Yeah.
And then if you find a mushroom, like look up the card and see what it says. Because I'm assuming that your guidebook is pretty good. I mean, wait,
Um.
let me let me read to you. I got the tower card, that one that is called the zombie ant fungus.
Oh.
So I'm going to read you what it says in the guidebook so you get a sense of this guidebook. It says,
Okay.
infamously known as the zombie ant fungus, the spores of this mushroom. Sorry, I need to switch glasses. They're really tiny print.
Mm.
The spores of this mushroom will infect and hijack the body of an ant, drain its nutrients, and create a network of cells throughout its body. This allows the fungus to manipulate the ant as though it were a puppet. The fungus then compels the ant to latch onto a leaf or twig 25 centimeters off the ground, where the humidity and temperature are just right for fungal reproduction. Mycelia spreads through the ant's dying body, and when ready, a mushroom will rise up through the ant's head, rupture, and release its spores upon multitudes of others. The zombie ant fungus has been known to lay waste to entire colonies. This this is the description. This fungus calls for the toppling of old structures. Sometimes destruction is necessary for important interchanges. There's no escape from this, but you will rebuild. And then the keywords are catastrophe, chaos, destruction, interchange, and renovation.
Renovation. I
So
mean,
it's nice. It works
it's
for.
terrifying.
It is. It's horrifying. I was thinking you should have one of these mushrooms in your zombie deck.
Yeah, I should have. I mean, if I knew about the mushroom, I would have included it at some point. But because with the whole game and the TV show, I bet there's gonna be a Last of Us tarot deck at some point. So,
Oh,
and Maruto said I watched the Z Frankie. I don't know how to say it. video of bug funguses just recently. They're frightening the way they take over the bug's brain. And yeah, the whole premise of the game and the show is that, you know, mushroom or fungi can do that to us as well. And I was like, it's scary, but you know, but then after like remembering that, yeah, there is already one that takes over ants' bodies, it's kind of uh, terrifying.
Yeah.
Yes, the deck is Midnight Magic. Oh, Sandra just got the Midnight Magic today, so I mean it's a pretty one. I just, you know, I have issues with the cardstock because I'm getting a cardstock snob. And for me, I just thought because I can't talk, I would read the same one from this guidebook, so you know we can see the difference between the two decks.
Mhm.
So in this deck, the the zombie and fungus is the Knight of Swords, and this the description is: this most energetic card embodies extreme and brazen survival tactics. Like a knight in armor, the zombie and fungus infects and uses the hijacked corpse of its victims and its armor and mobility to propagate. Well, that's a very diplomatic way to say what it's doing. And then this guidebook has an upright and a reverse meaning. The upright is intellectual, focus, ambitious. So it's pretty much the usual RWS keywords. And then it says the Knight of Swords can represent a person who is highly intelligent but craves stimulation or becomes bored. I don't know how that fits with the whole the fungi need to kill the body of the ant to survive.
Mine is much creepier than yours is more.
Yeah, yours is creepy. Yeah, I think this one tries to be not scary and be more on the herbologist or botanical side of things.
But I think it's interesting. You said yours is the Nine of Swords.
Yeah, knight.
Oh, Knight of Swords.
Knight, yeah, sorry.
Oh, I thought it was the 9. I thought, oh, it's a perfect
No,
nightmare.
I mean, honestly, it would be. I don't even know. Let me check what the knight is. The 9. Where's the 9? Oh, it's the blushing meerkat. Because they grow around weeping willow trees.
Oh.
And they are the symbol in historic graveyards, representing grief, sadness, and pain.
Oh, do you have that card handy? I want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites because it's pretty. Yeah, I can look for it.
Well, because around the corner from me is my favorite little park, and there's a weeping willow tree. I want to look under it. Oh, what's that one called again? What's it called?
Blushing milk cap. It's a bit pinkish, the underside of the mushroom, and it looks like it has white dew on it. So,
well, that's one of the problems with my guide. It's not in alphabetical order or in. If I want to look up the card, I can't. I have to go through every page to find it. But I bet it's in here somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know, because the deck, I can't remember, but I don't think the guidebook gives. What did I want to say? They don't give you the geological area where these grow, so they might be just specific to, I don't know, Northern America or usual. Because I have no idea if all of these are can be found here. Not like I want to go out and try to find all the poisonous ones, but Robbie, what is the deck you have? What's the name of it?
It's called The Mushroom Hunter's Tarot by Joe Buckley.
And it was a Kickstarter deck, so is it sold since then?
No, yeah, you can still get it. I can't remember where. I think it's on Etsy.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, you can look it up. It's www.mushroomhunterstarot.com. So that's easy to find.
Yeah.
I'm
Mm.
looking for the Wheel of Fortune. It says this one is the fairy ring mushroom. I thought, ooh, that sounds nice. Well, I mean,
Oh
that,
yeah, that's
ooh,
what Gerald mentioned previously. They look cool.
they grow in a ring.
Oh, hi Nancy. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I wasn't live a lot recently. I'm trying to getting out of hibernation. I think as someone whose name means little bear, I need to keep up with the seasonal changes. Oh, I wanted to ask something, but I forgot.
Do you remember what that previous one was called? Because I'm looking for it in here now.
Um, which one? The blushing milk cap?
That's it, Blushing Milk Cap.
Okay. How
Ooh,
many cards are? I mean, it's a regular tarot, right? So it's
there's one
so.
in here called Witch's Butter.
Mm, interesting.
It's the Eight of Wands, if I can find it.
It was shiitake. No, oh, there's one that I know. I mean, there's so many mushrooms. I mean, obviously, if someone knows about mushrooms, they know that there are so many. But I wonder if they could come up with a second deck, with new mushrooms. They're just so. I mean, I'm not gonna say the mushrooms are beautiful, but the illustrations are just beautiful in this one.
I was actually thinking about it. About I had seen. Have a what's it called? Pint. What's the thing where you collect images? Pinterest. I have
Pinterest, yeah.
I have a Pinterest account to collect old kind of turn of the century fairy tale images. And there are
Mm.
so many with mushrooms in them and fairies and elves and stuff, although they're pretty much the same mushroom. But still, I like that imagery, that magical fey imagery. And I thought, gee, I wonder if I could get away with snagging some of those images and creating a fantasy mushroom deck. Now, maybe not to sell, but I could at least do one for myself.
I
I don't,
mean, the British Library has a Flickr account, and they share a lot of copyright-free scans from books. Like old time.
well, yeah, these are all very old. I don't know if that necessarily means they're out of copyright just because they're old, because people can renew the copyright. So,
Yeah, but the good thing with the national, whatever it's called, the British Library website is that they list it under each image. If it's still copyrighted, who holds the copyright.
huh,
So, you could check that. If you don't know their site, I can send you the link later.
yeah.
Because maybe you can find it, because there's a lot of Gothic or, like 18th century and 19th century scans and images. I use some in my decks just as backgrounds and stuff like that. Especially, I used a bunch in the Questions Oracle. It's widespread in North America, growing with aspen, poplar, and willow. Is this the blushing milkcap found in the aspen forests of the Sierra Nevada, Hudson Valley, New Mexico? Or did I miss the beginning? Because this there was two in brackets. So
Some of these have great names, but when I look
yeah.
for them, it's like, where is, I have to find it. Like, here's one called Devil's Fingers. This sounds really intriguing.
I
Now,
mean, yeah, Maruta just commented that there's a Lactarius controversies, commonly known as the blushing milkcap, and yeah, I like the controversies and part of the name. Sometimes the Latin names are fun. And Gerald posted the link for the deck you're using.
oh, oh, cool.
So,
Handicap.
oh, eaten in
Devil,
the Turkish area.
Devil's Urn.
Oh, Nancy is organizing an Alice deck video. Oh, cool. I keep coming across the caterpillar on the mushroom. I think it counts.
I was going to say too, I mentioned before we went live that it seems like there's all of a sudden a trend over these, because I looked on Etsy and I found about 5 different mushroom or oracle decks. So anybody in chat that's interested in mushrooms or toadstools, go have a look on Etsy, because there's a bunch of different decks there. And I really particularly liked the black background on the one that you have. I can't remember, is it glossy or not? It's very glossy, right?
It's not as glossy as it should be, to be honest, because it has a semi matte finish. But for the black, I think a glass finish would have been better, because that would have brought out the depth of the black.
Yeah.
And I know everybody wants, matte decks because it photographs better and stuff like that. But for this one, I think they should have went full on shiny.
I picked glossy for mine because I
That's
thought,
good.
well, it'll make the colors pop.
Yeah.
If it goes too matte, it's going to look chalky to me, and I wanted it to really pop. But the problem is it's so glossy that it shows every fingerprint on it.
I mean, this one as well. I mean, I just touched a few cards and you can see, okay, not now, obviously, because it's already on my cards, but it collects fingerprints as well, which is
Ooh.
interesting. But I'm trying to find if this deck has the Devil's Finger. Corpse Finder. That's a cool name for a mushroom.
I forget if
Judgment.
I showed you this one, and I think you said it was a tooth mushroom or something.
The
It's
bleeding tooth, yeah.
it's called bleeding tooth
Yeah.
fungus. It sounds so disgusting.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it. But it actually does look like a tooth.
Yeah, I'm
So
trying.
I understand. I mean, some of these names are kind of interesting that they just went like, what does it remind us? Let's name the mushroom that.
Here it
Yeah.
is, the bleeding tooth fungus, kids. 3 of Swords. Yuck.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
like
there
this,
are
I like
others.
this court card, the Page of Cups. I can't tell if it's a little boy or a little girl, or I guess it could be. Who knows? But it's really charming, kind of like sort of like a young student of mushrooms.
Yeah. I can see me collecting all the mushroom decks. Donna says that, the bleeding tooth, it sounds like a medical condition.
Yeah, I've
It
had
does.
bleeding teeth, more bleeding gums, but
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I don't know if I can show it on my phone, but there's a blah, 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 oracle coming out, which I told you about. I don't want to show the. Oh God, I don't have book depository anymore, so I can't just open the site. And I forgot the name. Honestly, I'm gonna mourn book depository for a while.
are they out of business?
Yes, they closed on the 26th.
Completely, all around the world, or just
No,
wow?
completely. And I think it's because I don't know when, but I hate Amazon, so why not? Amazon bought them off a few years back,
Yeah.
or I don't know when, and I think they just wanted to get rid of them, because they were competition.
See, yeah, I thought it was like another branch of Amazon for Europe or something.
No, because they sold decks and books everywhere, and I know that a lot of people bought books constantly from them, so I can't imagine that they were not profitable, even with paper prices going up, because they didn't really raise the price. So
Hmm.
I think that it's something else in the bag. But I'm just gonna miss them. Okay, where the hell is... Oh, it's the Mushroom Spirit Oracle. And this one is like light.
Oh, yeah, that's really pretty.
But yeah, I know. I mean, do I need, one more mushroom deck?
Yeah.
Who knows? But and it has similar images like the bleeding tooth is there.
I
So
like,
maybe the repetition would be too much.
I like the kind of antique sort of ivory kind of background on that one in contrast to the black background one.
Yeah, that's the card back.
I think I did consider getting that one, but but like you, how many mushroom decks does one need?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Should I? Because I don't want to just buy an oracle because it matches my tarot deck. I should stop doing that. But these two, I kind of feel like they would match really nicely. But at the same time, would they just be too repetitive? Because I don't know. Like, but they would look nice next to each other, right?
Yeah. I think maybe that's why I paused on the buy button on that one, because it was an oracle. I'm like really
Mm.
anti-oracle these days. I don't know. I'm having such trouble, but I think it's my own kind of definition of what oracle is, and I need to like really check out each deck one at a time and see, you
Mm.
know, they're all about, because I have a preconceived notion about what oracles are. And I think it's the system of tarot that appeals to me, and oracle doesn't have a system.
I mean, could have a system, but not a lot has. But I'm kind of the same lately. I don't know when did it start, but I'm much more into getting. I'm much more open to getting a tarot deck than an oracle because the tarot deck has a system. I'm just much more comfortable, I guess, to use it than to just have a bunch of oracle cards, especially because I have mine that I use all the time. You know, because the keywords are sometimes too similar in oracle decks, and then you like have it, and I know tarot is the same, two of swords, two of swords, two of swords, but with a different image it can be so different in meaning that
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's the same with oracle decks, but maybe it's just a phase.
I think my issue with oracle is, well, there's several different kinds of oracles. I mean, some oracle decks really are affirmation decks.
Mm,
I, I very rarely need a soft, warm hug and a pat on the back, which is what those would give me.
mm-hmm,
And other ones have too many words, like you'll get a whole paragraph or a sentence or something. And it's like,
mm,
I'm not the kind of person that likes to be told what to do or what to see. So
mm-hmm.
it's okay, the less words, the better. Maybe a
Uh,
keyword, but then if the keyword isn't the right keyword for me, that bugs me too. So my
mhm,
favorite oracle decks are ones that don't have any words on them at all. But most people out there want to go running for the guidebook to get, an explanation. And for me, the idea of an oracle is intuiting from something
mm,
or amorphous or abstract. So it's like you look at an image and somehow intuitively you come up with meaning. You don't have somebody tell you what to think of it or how to read it. So that's the issue that I have with oracle decks.
yeah, but if you think about it, it's the same can be true for tarot because the system tells us what to think and know about it. We're just, I think, much, how to say that, we most of us are much more confident to be like, okay, this is the basic meaning for a tarot card, and I can disregard it because the image tells me something else. With an oracle, you're like, oh, this card says unique, then I should feel see or use the word unique on the card and not necessarily how it makes me feel. So I guess by default, because it's an oracle deck, maybe it's just me, obviously, I would concentrate on the keyword and what it means, which is much more limited for an oracle than with a tarot deck, where I can just be like, okay, this is the two of swords, but how does this card actually make me feel, and I can completely disregard the basic meaning for the card if it doesn't make me feel that way, if this makes any sense at all.
No, it does make sense. I'm thinking though, yes, tarot does have a system that tells you what to expect from each card, but there's a little wiggle room in there because even the original AE weight yellow box or whatever, if you look in the guidebook, there's not one key word deciding that card. There's usually
Hmm.
5 or 6.
Oh
And
yeah.
I found it frustrating because some of them weren't synonyms. They were like, what?
Yeah.
That doesn't work with that. I don't get that. And for me, I actually like that wiggle room because if one of the
Mm.
key words doesn't work for me, another one will, or I can find another way of approaching it to make it, it's a make
Yeah. Oh
it.
yeah.
uh,
Do you use Lenormand? Because it kind of feels like Lenor. I mean, yeah, that would work for you because my problem with Lenormand is that I have the keywords for a card and they can be so contradicting that I'm like, which one I'm supposed to be learning first and then expand on, because I need that. It needs someone to tell me that, hey, learn this one for this card and then you can, deviate from the system. But most of the decks are like, no, we're gonna give you 8 and they are all equally good. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know which one, is the right one for the reading? Especially because with Lenormand you're not supposed to use your feelings, you're just supposed to use the keyword, but I'm
yeah,
like, how?
yeah. There's a couple cards in there that give me trouble, like the lilies card I have,
Mm,
because lilies can be an elder, it can be sexual, it can be what's um, purity.
yeah, yeah,
There's
like
like
honor or something like
different.
that.
I mean, I can kind of get the relationship between purity and sexuality. When elders come in, that throws me.
I don't want to think about that life, thanks.
Yeah, it just I don't quite. I mean, if I saw a lily card in a deck, I would
Yeah.
think immediately of death because symbolically,
Oh.
we often have lilies at funerals, or lily is often associated with one's passing somehow. That's kind of the typical flower that's used in
Not
a
here.
not there. No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, well,
We
it's
have
it's a cultural thing too that
yeah.
changes, context changes around the world from place to place too. But yeah, when I look at a card image, it's like, where is this system used in my culture or community? Or
Mm.
does it remind me of a famous old saying? And
Ah.
that just came up recently because I had a live the other night with Thomas of Tarot Your Way, and we were looking at the page of cups, that has the fish and the
Yeah.
cup.
Yeah. I was there. I woke up in time.
And he said something about a loving cup, and I never thought about that being, that idea of a loving cup, like, because I said I didn't quite understand why cups, how that's related to
Yeah.
emotions or the heart. And then he used the phrase loving cup, and I thought, oh, that's something I can use,
But
later
then,
on when I'm looking at cups, equating them with love or emotions, a loving cup. And then also we were talking about the fool, and you always hear about the fool's journey, but the phrase that hadn't come up is there's this phrase, it's a fool's errand. And
yeah.
there's another one. It's like consulting the tarot a fool's errand. It's like, are you going kind of down a rabbit
That's, yeah.
hole to get an answer, or does it really give you something?
Actually helps you, yeah. I mean, I
So
always thought that, cups are just containers for water and waters are emotions. So, for me, that worked. But this is the flower, by the way, the chrysanthemum. I don't know how you say that.
yeah.
These are the ones in white that's used in
Oh,
used for funerals.
beautiful. Oh, oh.
Just because, why not? But yeah, Nancy said that oracles often seem too simplistic to me. I mean, there are decks that has very complex systems, but those are the rare ones.
You
I mean,
just
I made oracles, and I just came up with the theme, and then I was picking keywords that I wanted in that word. So it's much easier to create an oracle than a tarot deck, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. You just made me think of something else. You added something else to my memory bank when you talked about water is emotions.
Hmm.
I'm thinking when you get emotional, you cry, water.
Yeah.
Or if you get really upset, you might wet yourself. It's like liquid.
I mean, I wasn't thinking about that, but now that you
So
mention it, yeah.
just an extra reference for me for those
Yeah.
containers.
Yeah, well, how do emotions connect to water? Well, that's something that I'm gonna think about now with the cards like the Nine of Swords, which is not even an emotional card, but there can be some emotion in that one.
Well, Thomas, who I was talking to, said that he relates to swords as emotions. I don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, often when we see the Three of Swords, we think
Yeah.
hearts or it's an emotional card, but it's swords. It's not emotions. It's thoughts and speech. So,
I was thinking about that a lot, and I think the idea or explanation that I came up with is that the emotions we're experiencing for a short time, we can't deal with being in that emotion for too long. Our body is not capable of holding on to the hormones and whatever, but we are very good at holding on to the thoughts connecting to that emotion or that event that happened. So we hold grief and sadness and heartache mostly in our heads because we keep thinking about, oh, it was so horrible, I've lost this thing, and it stays alive in the mind. So for me, it makes sense that it's in the swords and not in the cups card, because the Three of Swords usually is a heartbreak that you should, get away from, move on. You experienced it, you should learn from it, but you should stop thinking about it so often or so much.
it lingers. I mean, the
Yeah.
sword might jab you, prick you, pierce you. It'll hurt for a second, but what lingers is the time thinking about it or
Hmm.
dwelling on it.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look up the Three of Swords because that one in this deck kind of looks like an RWS clonish card, which most of the cards don't do, but this one does for some reason. Oh yeah, like I was a bit disappointed because it's too similar to like the
Hmm.
original one.
Yeah,
And there's a bug. Like, look at this, the hugest bug here. Like, I mean, yay, bugs.
I had
Who's
somebody
that?
who tagged me in the other night, and I can't remember the name of her channel now, but she watched my recent tag. Oh, what is it? Something like difficult deck or decks gone wild or something
Yeah,
like
there's the one. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen the hashtag going around.
47 prompts, and it's like, oh my god. And most
Oh,
people don't use all the prompts. You can pick and choose, but
oh, that's a lot.
I challenged myself to try and use every single one of the 37 and
Oh.
not full deck with my majors only. And it's,
Mm.
black and white or one color deck. So it's even more of a challenge. And I managed to do it. But anyway, that inspired her to to create her own deck. So she
Oh,
bought blank tarot cards, which you can get on Amazon, and she collaged on images out of magazines. And she said it was such an eye opener because it got her really just looking at everyday images and advertisements and things and thinking, what is that? What card does that remind me of, that image? And then she would
mm.
collate all these images and glue them onto cards, and now she's got her own deck. And it's such a great, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah,
you agree with me because you've done a bunch of them. It's such a great learning process creating
yes,
your own deck. You get
yeah,
to learn so much about the system or even just the idea of matching up an image with an idea. It
yeah. And what it means to you, the card, exactly. You create it for yourself, so you can be more clear about. Oh, this is how I read a card. That's
Yeah,
why, I always tell people, create your own deck, even if you don't gonna, you're not putting up somewhere, you're not selling it, you don't have to sell it. But if you do it for yourself, even if it's
yeah.
like a stick figure kind of deck, it's gonna help you connect with the system and just the basic ideas of the cards much better.
Definitely do it as an exercise, a learning project or whatever.
Yeah.
She had images on there and she did a flip through, and there were some that I didn't instantly get. And then when she talked and explained, oh, that makes so much sense.
Mm,
And
that's
give
cool.
it more time to sit with it, I know I would have gotten there too, you know?
Oh, we're talking about a funeral because I was like, I want to be invited to whatever the chat is talking about sounds fun. Then I would realize that it's probably Donna's funeral because she wants flowers, colorful flowers, and not white flowers. So I don't want to be invited either, because I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are past the 1 hour for a while now.
Oh,
So see, time flies when we're in good company.
yeah.
So, but
I,
anything you want to mention? I mean, I linked Robin's NPC shop in the description. So if anybody is interested in getting the deck, you can just follow the link and get the deck.
I hope my scatterbrain didn't make you too crazy because
Mhm.
I mean, I think we covered things we wanted to cover, but I
Yeah.
love it when it leads off in like other directions
Same.
conversation. And I love it when I learn more about cards too. And just like bouncing ideas off other people makes me rethink certain cards and add to my vocabulary for cards. So I love that.
Yeah,
Thank
and, I never come into these conversations with that setup. Oh, we need to follow things. I just like it, man. Like mushrooms, they grow and they evolve and they just spread the conversation, not the mushrooms, because that can be terrifying, as we just learned.
It
So,
must have been near dusk because it got really dark in your room. I just know.
yeah, I mean, that's my window. Like, it's already like dark outside. So, but the birds are still up. I can hear the birds chirping. So they're like, it's like 8 p.m., past 8 p.m. What are the birds are still up? So,
It's a
but
real
yes,
rainy, dreary day here, but we have been having a lot of those lately.
I mean, it kind of feels like finally it's the second day that it feels like it's spring, even though it should be, we should well over head into, summer by now. The winter was really dragged out and long, and I was just so tired of it. So I'm like, please, I want the good weather finally.
Did you get any snow where you were?
Only a couple of days during the whole winter.
Yeah,
Nothing more anymore, and it's just really sad because it's just cold and dark and rains a lot. But
I was
it's
so
just so.
disappointed this year. I mean, we had no measurable snow. I think there
Yeah.
light dusting maybe once or twice, and I never even got to see it because
Mm.
I love days when I can sit in my favorite cafe and look out the window and watch the flakes dancing.
Oh yeah.
And it just didn't happen at all the whole season here.
Yeah, I mean, we had 2 days like that, and I was just getting excited that, oh, there's gonna snow because it was snowing all day. But even with that, and the snowflakes were quite big, it managed to melt away the next morning because the sun was like, nope, I'm having none of that. So, and I'm rewatching House because I don't know, I'm in a rewatching mood lately. And one of the episodes in the background, everything is covered in snow and there are big snowflakes falling down, and I'm like, I miss that kind of winter, like really.
I've
I
been
just
watching
miss winter.
a lot of YouTube channels with like van life or bushcrafting where people
Oh.
go off in the woods, and I
Mm.
love the winter ones. It makes me feel such a sense of security that I have a home and blankets, that I can
Yeah.
snuggle under while I'm watching, you know,
Yeah.
covered in snow. I mean, a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago, we had temperatures here that were like summer. It was like the high 80s, like mid 80s or almost near 90. And I thought, oh my God, it's too hot already. And it's like now
Mm.
it's back to the 50s. But I thought, oh, I don't want July and August here already. I can't stand that heat. You know, I have to use my.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot here as well. But I'm just googling 50 degrees to Celsius because I cannot know. Oh, it's 10 degrees. Ugh, I don't like
Are
that.
you anywhere near a sea or an ocean or anything like that?
No,
No.
nothing like that. We're pretty
How about
much in a big valley surrounded by mountains, so it should be more cold and more snow. But you know, humanity managed to fuck up the planet enough that we don't have the usual four seasons anymore that we used to, like 20 years ago.
do you have lakes to swim in there, or you pools or anything?
This is the winner comment. Thank you for the fun guy conversation. I mean, I appreciate that comment. But yeah, I'm gonna let you go because you know we should end the day and we should end the stream at some point.
Okay.
And I don't want to complain about the weather because I will never stop. I can do that honestly. I'm an old lady who likes to complain about the weather now. So yeah, okay, Nancy, I'm moving for the winter for sure. Thank you guys, everyone who was here, honestly, and everyone who's watching the replay. I hope you find it fun. I think it was a really interesting conversation. I mean, I love having you around because I always know that we're going to talk about interesting stuff. So
And
thank
always
you so
remember,
much for being here.
there's always a fungus among us.
Oh, that's really good. We should end on that one. Bye, guys.